as we get this underway. Clem is in the bottom right, Armani is in the top left, so the one saving grace here is obviously you get to start on Curious Minds here as Clem. This was the predetermined map for this series, and so there's got to be something of a factor here as well. That's got to be something of a factor here as well, I'm pretty sure. That they kind of, knew that if they save Clem for now, they'll get to send him out on Curious Minds Map 1, and that's always going to be nice. Looks like there was an early game cancel from Armani, so something interesting there, nothing too crazy. 18 resources lost. 18 resources is the cancel of an extractor, so I guess he extractor tricked his way. Either he extractor tricked or he canceled his extractor because he put it in the wrong order, but a minimal difference that the observer is pointing out for us right now here as we go into this best of 2. So again, 2 maps that these two play. If it's 2-0, then the winner will stay on and no life is lost. If it's 1-1, both teams will lose a life and they will have to send out new players. For Liquid, they could send out Clem a game and revive him, but it would be on their last life rather than having 2 lives remaining. Reaper moves into the natural. I'm just going to see a couple of Lings are going to be running forward, and the Reaper is coming and running back. So pulling back a little bit. And a few Lings getting chased around. Ling speed still coming up. A couple Queens on the way through. Those Lings still trying to chase that Reaper down. Factory on the way up from Clem as well. CC is going to be finishing shortly. And the Reaper moving back up there. The Queen is there pretty quickly to turn the Reaper around. We drop a little grenade down. Queen going to get popped and does a little bit of a moonwalk down the ramp. A bit of a wiggle down the ramp. Not really a moonwalk, was it? A little wiggle down the ramp then from the Queen. And just going to be seeing our third hatchery now coming into play as well as getting that set up off over on that right-hand side. So the third hatchery is on the way in. A couple of Hellions still coming through. Link speed will be finishing shortly from Armani as well. Just looking to get that completed pretty swiftly here. As we'll get a starport going in the main base as well. So just getting the starport up and rolling. Yeah. Overlord will scout through here, and obviously a shorter map. Overlord's in good position. Doesn't go Overlord speed here this time, Armani. And I wonder if he's willing to take more risks against Clem as well, knowing that Clem might be the more defensive and safer player, and saying, well, if I don't take any risks, he's probably gonna, get into a good position against me. And by taking risk, I'm gonna be in a better spot myself to maybe take him down. It's also that factor of, like I say, it might not be needed against Clem as much. It also might just be he wants to take more risks here to help him out and just set him up better in these games compared to how he felt he had to play against Color Xur. So a couple of things to think about here on the setup as these Hellions are trying to dive by. Is going to start getting some drones here. Gets up to 4. And I mean, the Hellions are still alive for the moment as they continue around. It looks like they turned the game sound up, guys. This sounds a blast. I'm going to turn it down a little bit. Well, 5 drones going down. Obviously, a good amount of Hellions being lost. Short map here as well. So, going to be just seeing the aggression kind of continues to hit quickly. The reinforcements arrive swiftly, and there's Banshees already coming across the map as Clem will be looking to combo the Banshee Hellion play to try and make something happen with this. And looking to get even more done in the near future. Banshee comes down. He's going to find just a few drones here. I mean, Spores, a few moments from being done, he just gets 1 drone kill, and that will be it for the moment. So, 1 drone for now. Factory setting up a reactor there. Engineering base still coming through. Starport's going to move off over to the side. And our Evolution Chamber is going down on the natural expansion as well. So just bringing that up into play as our Hellions are going to continue back into the center. And the few Queens are there to help against those Hellions as well. Banshees get together. We'll move into the main base. Couple of Queens here, and just going to see the Banshees coming through. Going to get 1 more drone, and again, look at this. Stopped drones mining on the low ground, so drone's not mining away over there. That's pretty cool. I was going to see these Banshees getting turned around a little bit. Still trying to find an opening. Just coming in around the back and doing decently to put a little bit of damage out. Banshee's still around the top. One more missile upgrade's coming up, and the Roach Roar is going to place in the top left corner as well. So we're going to play a Roach style. Obviously, the missile upgrades kind of gives you a little bit of a heads up on that before we see the Roach Roaring drop there. But yeah, we are indeed going to be seeing some of those Roaches, and not too surprising. Because obviously, again, the size of the map means the Roach play can hit quickly. It's a fairly open third base, so it's a pretty decent third base to Roach attack into. And obviously just playing Roach is a little bit sturdier than Ling Bane, so it also helps you kind of keep yourself alive against some of the initial Ling Bane pressure that often comes out onto the map in games like this as well, so also a possible factor. As Rain's working the left side, we're going to see Armani cancel his fourth base, by the way. So this game, you're going to see an even later fourth from Armani than what happened on Blackburn against Kalazur. He's not playing Ling Bane though, so it's going to be a little bit less lava intensive, so it's maybe not as much of an issue. And so this does play that a little bit differently then, so keep that in mind. Let's just see the Hellions coming through and a few Lings getting picked off. Marines here as well. Hellions moving into Hellbats. I mean, this would be a great time for the Roaches to be out, but there's no Roaches here just yet. So you're going to see how Hellbats and Marines continue through, and Overseer gets picked off, and these Queens continuing forward as well, looking for this medevac. Oh, Hellbats are coming through there, and just going to be seeing our Hellbats continue to get picked away at as well. So Hellbats going down. This is a defense from Armani as Clem gets his next round of attack ready to begin. A little bit of creep still being cleaned out. The double Banshee together, picking away at some of those Zerglings. So some Lings going down as well right now, and just going to see our Banshees working their way into the center, where a few Lings back away from this set of rocks. Banshee just killing off these rocks in the middle. Really wants to speed up the rate at which his Roaches can get across the map. These Banshees are really just trying to chip some damage away. You know, for this being very Roach heavy, you know, the supply of Armani isn't exactly brilliant. You would expect the supply of Armani to maybe be a little bit better than it is right now. Maybe expect that to be just a little higher here. So that's maybe something to keep in mind as well, that his supply is not exactly the craziest just yet. Let's see. I mean, it's maxing up a little bit more now. He's about to be maxed out. He's going to be seeing the Roach Ravager coming through. Banshee actually does get shot down, so one Banshee killed off already there, and just going to be seeing a Marine still trying to press on through. The couple of Corrosive Files coming down, killing off some tanks. Obviously, dealing with the tanks is going to be a major part of allowing Armani to properly push into this position. Just going to be seeing the Roach Ravager Queen still off to the left-hand side. These Marines are still going to be pressing forward. They're going to come through, and they're going to go after some of these Queens and Ravagers as well. Couple of tanks sieging up. Ling's getting pushed back, and Clem has got a good defense here for himself. He just had so many tanks, right? He just had a really comfortable tank count, and with that tank count, really was able to just say, right, got my tanks out, and can just sort of go from there. Even when he lost a couple, he just had consistent damage still going out. Kept him in a great spot, and he's able to take this first game. And Armani, I'm sure, is just looking to get up to Lurkers, and if he can get to Lurkers, then I'm sure he'll be pretty content right now. We'll see if he can get to Lurkers. Obviously, it's a long way to go until that stage of the game. We'll see how it goes. See what happens. Top right-hand side, Armani. There's the blue Zerg. Bottom left-hand side, the Red Terran is Team Liquid's Clem. Well, overall coming through the top side, and just going onto the map is going to go scouting for proxies here, so even though Clem doesn't proxy a lot, people still play very safe against him, just in case they're like one of the first people that Clem has ever proxied. They just take that precaution, you know? They do not mess around. It's kind of amusing, I think. I find it kind of amusing, at least. Yeah, Armani just playing very, very safe here. This does mean no Overlord across the map super early in the game. But we'll see if he goes Overlord speed here to try and figure out what's going on, see if he feels confident just to try and get into that later game, or if he takes the risk to try and, you know, bypass that kind of Overlord speed and just say, no, it's okay, I'm going to be all right anyway. So yeah, we'll see what happens there. And it's going to be seen. Our Reaper is starting up right now from Clem, the Extractor finishing in the main base and just getting this second game underway. And Clem looking for a 2-0 to preserve a life for Team Liquid. That would be nice, because obviously you would prefer not to go down onto your last life here, if at all possible. As if Armani can get that win, would put the Freecs into a pretty good position. Definitely a little bit of a factor right now, as we do have our Reaper coming across the map. Clem going for a little bit of a scout over to the other side, and is going across, seeing what's going on. Link speed still just coming up. Reaper fighting the Lings a little bit, so a little bit of back and forth continuing along here, and just going to be seeing the Link speed continuing through. So yeah, just getting this game set up and ready to roll in the early stages. And just going to be seeing this Queen and the Reaper starting up a little bit of a fight here as well. So a little bit of back and forth right there. We'll see extra drone still on the way through. Starport, Orbital, all of this coming out as well now. And just seeing a pretty comfortable non-3C setup from Clem. So he's going to go before this. No 3CC, he is just going to play the 2 base aggression. And like I say, we'll see how that comes out for him. We'll see how that does. As the Reaper does come through, the Queen going to put a shot on it. Crypt Tumor spreads far enough back that this shouldn't become an issue or anything, right? This shouldn't be exposed. It isn't really at risk of dying or anything, right? So that's not going to be too much of a problem. You can see that Reaper chased down and actually just survives the Ling speed there, so definitely a factor as well. Couple of Marines going to get rid of this Overlord initially, and just going to be having ourselves the Aliens and a Reaper still moving up the top side. So they're just looking for some damage again. Clem was very free with his units in the last game, right? He was quite happy to move them forward a lot and kind of dive them into mineral lines. Looks like on this map he's happy to keep them alive a little bit longer instead. So really trying to just preserve those Hellions this time and not just, like I say, dive them through into the next, you know, the first opportunity he sees for them. So just being a little bit cautious across the board. So you see how Hellions is getting into the circling layer is still coming up. Hellions coming up to the top side and just going to be having ourselves the Queen take a little bit of damage. Again, just patrolling around behind all of this. Our third CC came down. Our extra barracks are coming into play. All of this is still getting set up as we do grab a Crypt Tumor there. It's obviously a nice little catch as well. Hellions to the right. Not going to make their way up back onto the Crypt spread, and Queen going to take a little bit of damage. Crypt Tumor taking a couple shots as well. Well, just going to be seeing our 1-1 upgrade. Stim is about to complete the Spire builds in the back from Armani, and that is a change-up that I was not necessarily expecting. the Spire play is something which you don't necessarily think is, on the mind of players a lot of the time nowadays in this matchup. So we're going to go Spire. We're going to go into Mutalisks here. Like I say, that's going to be a bit of a change. That's kind of cool as we get a creep tumor at the front as well. Going to get the hatchery down at the front. Also, Baneling speed is now on the way up. I see the Hellions grabbing a creep tumor, and again, Clem just trying to put some pressure on this right-hand side. This orbital is going to move up into the third base location, so we're going to get that drop down. A couple of medevacs are making their way up through into the middle of the map. They're going to be full of Marines, and they're going to go join up. And, well, actually, for the moment, move past those Hellions. A single Zergling there moved in and just had a little check and says, oh, okay, a couple medevacs kind of passing on by, so they kind of just move on through, and these Marines now going to unload on the other side of this set of rocks. And I'm sure they will have some fun stimming up over here and get straight in on top of this hatchery, which is taking some reasonable starting damage, and obviously just going to try and keep up this pressure. One of the main things Clem wants to do on a map like this is really deny the main avenues of creep spread. If you can deny this right side in front of this base and the left side in front of that other forward base, if you can keep the creep spread denied there in those two places, you really can have a lot of successful pushes up into your opponent's face and just have a very good time. This hatchery finishes. Clem actually doesn't kill it off. It will get some more transfusions. Clem goes back for it, gets it, and you've got multiple Mutalisks as well, because he focused those Mutalisks initially when he wasn't finishing the hatchery off. Now he's going to get another Mutalisk as well, and this is not going well at all for Armani. In fact, this has fallen apart quite substantially right now. This is going horribly wrong for Armani. This is not what he wants to have happen in the slightest. Clem is taking some good trades. Now he loses out on that drop, but killing off a base, not a cancel because it got to finish. So killing off that, and killing off that plus being able to get a bunch of Mutalisks is just fantastic damage. I mean, you cannot complain about that in the slightest. That is some of the best damage you're going to find here as Clem in this game. Well, that's going to be seeing plenty more drones coming up. Thor is in production here from Clem as well. Adrenaline Claw still coming through. The 2-2 upgrades still coming up. Also, Wardi's worker count the first or the second number. The worker count is the first number, so Armani 84 versus 69 workers at the moment. That's the yellow number, and then army supply on the right of that in the orange. I know the Chinese client is... If you're not used to seeing it, and you're like, wait a second, which one is which? Obviously, if you look at this overlay a lot, you're kind of just aware of, workers on the left, army on the right, but I do appreciate it can be frustrating to look at times. There's no upgrades on these Lings for a few more moments. This fight started with 0-0. Now +1 Carapace is done. And now melee upgrade is done. So really fighting just a little too soon here. Armani did not have the upgrades he maybe could have had. Definitely also something of a factor as you just see these meters back around the bottom right. Just going to see the meters back to the middle of the map and collecting back together. Going to be seeing a few units still moving forward from Clem. I mean, honestly, every fight he's had so far, I feel like has been pretty comfortable for him. Extra Bantlings morphing in. He is going to start pushing into the center of the map right now. So, into the middle we go. A few of these Bantlings finishing up and backing up to the top side. The Bane's going to come back through, rolling forwards. Ling's going to run forward here as well. The Thor going to get evacuated by the medevac, so that's a good save. And these meters still just trying to dive in, make something of an impact themselves, as we do have the units still pressing forward. A couple of creep tumors being cleaned out. These Marines still trying to go in for the rest of those meters, doing whatever they can, wherever they can there. As we do see an additional round of Banelings now going to start on up. Get that underway. And just going to be seeing Armani looking to defend. He is more or less maxed out as Clem is pushing with only 160 supply. Clem does have an army supply lead though, so has that army lead. We'll see if that can turn into anything extra here for him. As our Bioforce continues forward and is going to continue through. That's going to get rid of a few more Banes. Just going to be seeing the Lingbane Muta diving forward here, and these Medevac's going to have to start boosting out of here. The army still pushing up this left-hand side. There's a couple of Lings jumping in on a chunk of SCVs. Another Widowmine shot is good on the tail end of those Banelings now. Clem is still losing supply himself. This is not a clean-cut game for him right now. Definitely a little bit of a fun factor here at the moment is just going to be seeing our Ling's still coming up, Amita's still on the way through. Obviously, with a few SCVs going down, Clem's economy still standing strong. It's only a few SCVs, but it's not being kind of super perfect, but it's been good enough. This is actually a good wall-off, helping to choke up these Zerglings there. Definitely slowed Armani down a little further. Missile turret will finish on the right-hand side. Command center going to move across on the meters. Back around the left. Our Marines still just on the left-hand side as well, as we do have the Mutas, Lings, and Banes now all running forward. This Widow Mine is going to go off on a good chunk of the Banelings. Good start to the fight from Clem. He is taking a step back. One of the issues Armani is facing right now is that this is very much so a case of just too many. Too much Mutaling Bane, right? Too many commitments into this mid-game army. And so transitioning into Lurkers isn't really possible, not with the pressure Clem's applying. So what you are starting to see is that Clem is obviously, going to be under fight from Mutas, etc. But it's never going to stop being Ling Bane Muta for quite a while, and we'll have to see the Ultra Cavern coming down, and we're going to have to see the Ultras before we transition into anything else here, basically. So moving into the Ultras. Let's going to see Ling Muta moving forward here, going to go forward and just go diving in. That's going to be seeing another Widowmine shot firing. A few Lings going down. Just going to be seeing Armani. Not a pretty fight. He gets only 3 SCVs so far. The Orbital would be a great prize, but he's not going to get it. The SCVs turn back in to be able to get that command center repaired and to keep it up and running. Ling Bane still running through this tank in a little bit of trouble as well. I'm just going to see how Muta's going to go diving through Engineering Bay, taking some damage. I'm just going to see the Mutas now escaping up the left-hand side once again. So they're just going to escape out of there. Mutas will dive through. A couple of racks are going to get picked away out, and these Ultras also just still coming up. Well, with Ultras still on the way, we obviously have the new phase of the game coming from Armani. Obviously just worried that, of course, we are going to go Ultras and not Lurkers, right? The fact, any investment into Ultras feels pretty rough just in general, so... not great. CC coming out to the front here. This Bio Army is going to move back around to the right-hand side. The Marines going to load back into a medevac and escape away for the moment as well. Just going to be pulling that back for now. Going to be seeing our attack back through the middle of the map. Now, Clem is only just now going to the Ghost Cam. You could argue maybe that could have been sooner to help with the Ultras as well. This would have mine. Okay, well, the Banelings just died. 2 SCVs and a mine go down. Nothing major. A Thor kind of gets picked off here, though, as Clem will lose a few units. These skirmishes in the middle have not been perfect for Clem, as that Widow Mine goes off, actually connecting quite nicely. The problem here for Armani is it's just Ultras. Ultras on their own are just not good because they need something of a buffer so they don't get attacked. They're going to be, a little bit tanky themselves, but not super tanky, so that's not ideal as these Banelings are going to finish up in the bottom right. They are going to go moving on forward. They're going to go rolling in towards this planetary fortress. And you can see the planetary already just turning around to blast some of these Banelings. Planetary is going to get blown up, but Clem has plenty of bases. I don't think this planetary dying is the biggest issue for him as of right now. And again, I would be... excited to see what actually comes of these Ultras continuing through. Like, when do we take our next move out? Like when do we take our next tech forward as Armani? When do we next get into Lurkers? And then we can go from there. When do we next move out with these Ultras? Are we confident with them? Do we believe in these Ultras a little bit at all? It's a good question. Muta out to the left-hand side is just going to set up for another run through. Obviously just going to jump on that far left base, which Clem is not really in position to deal with at all to begin with here, so not an ideal start. That's going to be seeing the Muta's obviously going to go jump to the main. Every time here, I feel like these attacks of Armani are not getting any sort of the damage that you would usually expect these kind of attacks to be doing, you know? I feel like that's really not been going well for Armani. I mean, he gets this base. He's been killing bases. I guess it's the SCV counts that aren't dropping as quickly as you would usually expect. Sometimes you expect to see, like, you know, 20 workers going down all at once, and that's just not been a thing in this set of games. In the slightest, in fact. So, kind of an interesting factor there as well. Let's see Lingbane Ultra going to come moving forward. Fire Force kiting backwards here is just going to see Armani continue to run through. The issue is, right, you always get like decent starts on fights like this, but then where does it end up? You know, an Ultra gets sniped at there and, you know, this and that, but it just doesn't feel like it doesn't feel all that crazy. Am I wild? You know, it feels like there's no follow through. You get to a certain point in this and then you just kind of get stopped, you get halted, and you can't really make any more progress. I really do feel like that's the issue we're seeing right now. Definitely feels a little bit rough as we get ourselves an extra round of Bantlings morphing in. I mean, what else do you really do, though? There's not really like a... There's not like an immediately kind of better option per se. Like I said, it's been a tough game where you can't really transition up into lurkers, and I think that's what's going to kill Armani eventually. That he just can't really get to lurkers here. I think that's absolutely going to be his biggest problem of all, as units collect together on that left-hand side. Clem looking to threaten that direction, heading towards the 20-minute mark here. Going to be our longest game of the day so far, as Clem systematically works his way through Armani. I do think Clem is at a point where he's improved his army good enough that he is absolutely getting into a winning position right now. Man shot just grabs a couple of Lings there. The Lingbane Ultra Force will continue around the left, and another Widowmine going off. A couple of Banelings connecting. I mean, can we actually get rid of this Planetary Fortress? These few Marauders are going to turn and fight. Again, if they just get onto an Ultra, though, they can actually do some serious damage, and Clem is target firing an Ultra or two with those. Midas are going to dive in for this missile turret, which will go down. More than anything for Clem, that's mostly just about trying to buy time for units to get over here to defend this. Armani still splitting the damage nicely and still doing a good job attacking in different locations on the map. Definitely the idea, you know, the right idea for him, if nothing else, at the moment. A couple snipers coming down, some mutas being shot away at. Now going to catch a couple of medevacs on this bottom side. Goats are going to come back through, sniping down an extra round of these Mutalisks. And the Ultras are back on the left as the Ghosts are continuing to have to run on away from this. Continuing to back away at the moment. 19 SCVs died. I feel like for the first time in a long time, the damage done here by Armani was really much more significant. Then you lose 3 Ultras right away, and again, those Ultras on their own really just do not do a lot. It's the mixture of Ultra Lingbane, which is scary. Now some Infestors mixed in here as well. We see 10 new Mutas being made. At this late stage of the game, tap Mutas back into play. It's a brave stance from Armani, and I won't lie, I'm not sure I agree with it necessarily. Like I say, it's a heavy commitment for something which is just not going to help you a lot in the fight, and it's a lot of gas. You can just see Armani's supply is absolutely plummeting right now as well, as he's starting to lose drones, and Clem is seemingly going to be all over the map and on top of him, and just in good enough control of this map number 2. Looking to get the 2-0 would put it to 2 lives left for both the Freaks and Team Liquid here. 16 dead drones. Economy's just not really in play from Armani. He's been losing bases, and he's just been weathered down. He's now really going to rely on these Infestors to create an extremely good fight for himself, and he really needs like an extremely good fight, and there it is. It's going to be a massive fungal, but there's no units to follow up. Doesn't matter. The fungals in general are just good here. Just going to be seeing those units getting cleaned up by units pressing forward. That's going to be having units pressing in, and just going to be seeing this hatchery in a little bit of trouble. The base will go down, and Armani just cannot get enough units together right now. Clem going to take one of the top left bases, which is obviously meant to be Armani's. So Clem going to take that for himself. He's going to lay claim to that base, and Clem does look as though he's going to be good to go in this one. As these Banes continue through, the Mutas going to continue to chase those medevacs down. Banes continue to connect in. We actually scan an EMP the Infestors, so no fungals available. GG from Armani, and that is going to do it here in this second game. That means that Clem stays alive for Liquid, and they're both going to go down to 2 lives each. Clem will stay on without needing reviving. And that, of course, is a big, big deal. Guys, we are going to